how to get more speaking gigs, more podcast interviews, more opportunities. This is a secret hack that I learned a long time ago from my friend and mentor, Kent Julian. You got to check him out. Kent Julian is a fantastic speaker. And what he said, what he taught me, is to be the easiest speaker to work with. I just got finished teaching a chapel service, and I want to be the easiest speaker to work with. So for example, the doors were locked. It took me a while to get in. And as a result, I got there 5 minutes before the thing started, and I had a guitar with me. So ideally, I plug in the guitar, I do a audio check and all that. But when I got there, the sound guy was like, I really needed more notice. And I was like, no problem at all. Let's just get a microphone. We won't even have to plug it in. And what I want to say to you in this is that there's this attitude of gratitude. There's this attitude of being flexible. Flexibility is the key. Okay, let me give you another example. Let's say that you are being interviewed for a podcast and you show up to the podcast and you thought it was audio only, and it turns out that they're doing video too, or they're doing a live stream, and you're like, a live stream? I didn't think this was live stream. And you say, no problem. That's the key. No problem. No problem. You need to live stream it? No problem. You need to reschedule? No problem. You want to talk about something that we didn't plan on talking about? No problem. Because here's the mission. Here's the vision. I want to be the easiest speaker to work with. I want to be the easiest podcast guest to work with. I want to be so easy that when somebody thinks, oh, you know what? Oh, I'm in a jam. I need somebody canceled. A keynote speaker canceled, and I have nobody fill the stage. You know who's easy to work with? Brian Dixon. Brian Dixon. He is easy to work with. He doesn't complain. He is flexible. He does whatever we need him to do. And I got to tell you, having that attitude of gratitude, having that flexible mindset, a great book by Carolyn Dweck called Mindset talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. Having that growth mindset, having that flexibility is going to open doors for you. It's going to open doors. So you've got a podcaster who you've been trying to get a hold of, and you've been trying to get on their show, and they're like not even answering you, totally ghosting you, and say, you know what? I'm going to be the easiest podcast guest that you've ever worked with. And so when you finally do get booked on their show and then they have to cancel, you say, no problem. And then when finally you're on the show, you show up and you deliver the goods. You make sure that it is the best podcast interview that they've ever had, which is my second step. My second tip for you is to ask, what would be a win for you? Okay. So you're doing a speech at a conference, you're doing a podcast guest interview, you are invited to present a workshop. You ask the person, you ask the organizer, you say, what would be a win for you? How do I over deliver for you? How do I make sure that I provide so much value for you that we have a long-term relationship? So start with flexibility. Second, make sure that you deliver the goods. The way that you deliver is you ask them, what would be a win? So what I literally ask before we record a podcast interview is I say, what's been like your best show ever? And they're like, best show ever was when so-and-so was on the show and they just told this like really vulnerable story. I'm like, okay, great. Can we be vulnerable today? Because I want to rival them. I don't say I want to beat them, but say that I want to deliver so much value that our show is one of your favorites. How does that sound? They're like, oh, that would be amazing. Because you got to think about it. Most people are thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about how to over deliver for someone else. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 1 is to be the easiest speaker to work with. Tip number 2 is to show up and serve and really over deliver, give a ton of value. And tip number 3 is show that gratitude, express gratitude. So for example, after you do a podcast interview, or you speak on a stage, or you do a chapel service like I just did, send a thank you note. They'll probably send me a thank you note. What if I sent them a thank you note and said, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the work that you're doing. Actually, literally from the stage, the sound guy who was a little fussy, I gave him a shout out from the stage. And I said, hey, can we all clap for our amazing sound technician? And people all clapped, and I'm sure he felt great. And then at the end, as I was leaving, he's like, hey, I look forward to seeing you again. I'm like, me too, no problem. So be flexible, be the easiest speaker to work with, and you're gonna get a lot more gigs.